Need some water?
Yes. For my pre-workout. To the gym. IFBB Extreme. One whole scoop. Cheers. What's up, guys? I wanted to start this video today with a thought or a conversation, and bear with me, I'm not the best at storytelling, but all the details are going to kind of come together as a whole. And so I have a message for all of you, and I think it was so insightful for me, so it's something that I really want to share with all of you. And so yeah, just tag along. But I was just driving back from my Pilates, and we had such an intense session today, and we've been doing a lot of stuff together and just talking. And we ended up recording the whole conversation because it initially started about, you know, how is your body feeling? And I was feeling some type of pain in my foot, and I was telling her about the videos that we filmed. I noticed that my hips were into my body, and I was like, how do I get out of my hips, and da da da. And obviously the conversation took a turn and became about talking about how the nervous system, you know, things are held into your body through your nervous system. And that's what we've been working a lot on, and there is no Pilates session or no training without me being optimized with my nervous system. So after talking about my hip and getting out of my hip, she said, I think you need to get out of your head. And I was like, that's an interesting point. And she said, you need to stop thinking and start feeling. And I don't know if you've ever been in a position where you start rationalize your feeling consistently and intellectualize even. I feel like now there's so much content out there that makes you find reason, or, you know, being reasonable with your feeling and rationalize thing, and always kind of being again in your head, and less in your feeling and your gut feeling and stuff like that, and really let your emotions speak freely. Always kind of put a dead stop to it, especially if you're a bodybuilder. You try to manage your emotions and your feeling as much as you can, because you can't be hungry. You need to channel some type of emotion during your training, and so that way you can push. And I was telling her, like, all I want right now in my life is predictability and stability. And she's like, no, that's not how you grow. And I'm like, no, but I think I can plan a steady growth and ascension if I am in an environment where everything is predictable. And she told me I was wrong. So with that came, you know, conversation about success, and she gave me a homework, and I want to give that homework to you guys as well. So talking about success, what does success means to you? And it's a very broad question, and I think I've been asked that before, and I'm sure some people have asked you that before. And maybe you have it figured out, maybe it's very primitive and it's just me having an epiphany about it. But as soon as she said that, I immediately started thinking what this success means to me, instead of thinking about what success should feel to me. So I invite you to think, what does success should feel to you? Think about a feeling instead of thinking what it should mean. Or maybe for you, success means a house, or a car. But what does those elements physical element that you're able to think and quantify in a physical space, what does these element makes you feel at the end, and start digging deeper. So if I'm thinking about success, for me feels like a house. Does it feels like a house? Is it a house, or is it the feeling of a home? And then you can start assembling feelings in your heart that makes you feel successful. And then I was looking back at, for instance, a moment in my life where I was in a grocery store with my mom, and we're just doing our regular groceries. And mind you, my mom is a workaholic. She worked in her life more than probably anyone I know, including my dad, very hardworking people, finance people, And I remember her walking through the aisle, and we were fortunate enough to really have good ingredients on our table constantly. And she said to me, for me, success, she probably didn't put it into those words, but for me, success is walking through the grocery aisle and being able to pick up whatever I want to eat without looking at the price tag. And for some reason, it stuck to my mind. And to this day, whenever I go to the groceries, I'm in such ecstasy. I would look at prices, and sometimes I'm just like, wow, this is so expensive, seeing the egg whites going from $4 to $6. But the feeling that I get going to the groceries reminds me of a feeling of I made it moment, because I'm able to go to the groceries and really picking up the food that I want to eat and that I need to eat, and that fuels my body right and makes me feel good, and that is fueling my craft and my career that I've made for myself. And so it's not just about success for me is thinking about going to the grocery store. Is the feeling that the grocery store actually means to me. And so if you're able to think about those feelings and asking yourself why success, when you think in your head of something in the physical aspect of it, what is the feeling behind it? You're able to curate little moments like this on a daily basis of I made it moments, and really going into everywhere with those feelings of success. And then she also asked me why I started bodybuilding, and that there has to be a feeling right there and then, because it's not, it might have been something external from the beginning. But then when I started, going to the gym and being called going back to the gym, for some reason, I couldn't really explain it. And again, trying to rationalize it, trying to, find things, and then going to therapy and try to find the words and then the story behind like the reason why I started bodybuilding. But what feeling that I felt right then and then that genuinely propulsed me into the career that I have today. And I think that if I had done this homework before winning the Olympia, I would have been able to feel a lot more than just in that split of a second where you see the picture with my hands in the air, and you can actually see feelings right there, because I've allowed myself to feel. And to me, in that space of a moment, right? Like when they called my name, I immediately went to my brain and I started thinking, my speech, I'm not ready. Miss Olympia, what does that mean? Da da da. Like it just I went straight to my brain instead of feeling in my heart. And that picture, that 1/2 second when I have my hands in my hair, I have, Jen here, I have Tyler on the other side putting my hands in the air, and you see this crying face, is that 1 second that I felt in my heart. And what I saw was just kind of a full circle moment with me at 17 and then me now. And to this day, I'm not really sure what it felt, but it probably felt just like a full circle moment or like a buckle. Like there's something a cycle that just closed right then and then. And I still have to figure out what it actually was. But I want to be able to figure out, what did I felt in that moment? What was the feeling that I had right then and then? And I think finding that will help me feel this prep a lot more. And again, as bodybuilder, or if you have been in relationship or around people that were telling you to stop feeling what you're feeling, your feelings are not important, feelings are just emotions and they shouldn't be relevant or derail you from your purpose. I agree with that. You need to be able to follow through even though you're feeling some type of way some days. But to constantly be in your head, it's not enough to pursue bodybuilding in a healthy way and for a very long time without eventually getting burned out. So I invite you to ask yourself again, what does success means to you? But what does success feels to you? And I think right now, success feels to me as being of use. The feeling that I get, not being used, but having the feeling of use, whether it is through someone's testimony that I've helped them through something by just my presence and being the person that I am and being able to be an athlete, practice my craft, staying in that feeling of success that I feel when I'm accomplishing things. And when I say accomplishing, it's not, there's no dollar amount in my head. There's no money. There's no amount of followers. There's no amount of fame. Like, again, it's not quantified. It's really just a genuine feeling of, I made it through cardio. I did what I need to get done. But I am able to take that feeling of accomplishment it's the purest way of accomplishing thing and then relating it to a feeling of success. And that's what I'm genuinely doing every single day, is being a little bit more successful, like curating that feeling of success just a little bit more. And that's why for me, it's so easy to go back to bodybuilding every single time, because it gives me that purest feeling of accomplishment. And for somebody, it might not relate to them at this right moment, but there's definitely somewhere, someplace that you can think of that you just feel successful. And so yeah, I don't know. I still have some homework to do, definitely, and I want to know what you guys feel about what I'm saying right now. No pun intended, but it was definitely a great conversation. And I'm gonna have to if you want to have this conversation, it was just recorded on audio, but if you want that conversation to be posted, we'll try to post it. But yeah, I'm gonna have to go back and why did I first started? Yes, it was, from somebody telling me that I had potential, but then why? What did I feel in that moment that drove me? And that is obviously motivation. And then you just create a cycle that you want to repeat that and just get better at that every single year. And again, it might be very primitive. And maybe you're listening right now and you're like, how can you have not felt that or let your heart feel those things? But I think if you do bodybuilding for a very long time without asking you those questions and you just get into the next show 12 weeks out, 11 weeks out, like that's how I've lived like the last 10 years of my life. And on top of having relationships that might have told you to shut down those feelings, or those feelings are not valid, or your nervous system just try to protect you by tuning out things that you felt or events in your life. It's some deep work, but I just can't wait, again, to be able to feel, no matter what happens, right, on stage in now 10 and a half weeks at the Olympia. I want to define and feel successful before even stepping on stage. And I felt that before, just from, again, curating those constant feeling of accomplishment. But so yeah, I guess that's what success for me feels like. It's holding on to my word, is then being of use. This is obviously the bigger picture of success for me, like as far as like a legacy goes, or leaving something, is like how much of use have I been by being myself and just sticking on to my words. And that way you're never going to be shaken by a title, and a title is always going to be like a plus or extra. But I definitely don't want to feel numb, because when I got off from stage at the Olympia, I got a call the next day and they asked me like, were you okay? You look kind of numb. And I was almost triggered by that comment. I'm like, what do you mean numb? Like, this is like the work of my life. This is my dream. Like, how come I'm not able to feel really deeply what I'm supposed to feel? And what am I even supposed to feel? So I invite you to do that work, and let me know how success feels to you. And if you start from a place of what success is to you, and it's a pro card, it's a car, or whatever you define it as being, try to take off the layer and find deep down inside one feeling that this matter of object or physical quantified object made you feel, and then chase that feeling every single day and make it a ritual that every single day you're going to feel at least for 1 minute that feeling. And I think that's really the best way to live a successful life.
Let's talk to the people.
About 15 minutes more stairs. That's a wrap for the circuit. I have no watch. I don't even know how many calories I've wasted.
it was an overall good workout. You know, I think the biggest thing for me to switch into those workout, I'm not athletic whatsoever, but it's as soon as my mindsets had to switch into, do you want to compete just for fun, or you want to be an actual competitor and be competitive and reach the standard, or reach a point where your physique is awarded towards the judges, you know. I don't think if Lauralie training for life would be doing that. I think maybe it's once in a while, now that I know, you know, how cool it is, but it sucks, guys. So most of the time it's just about what you need to do and not necessarily what you want to do, and there's always, you know, seasons for that. And the season for that for me is right now in order to win the Olympia. So circuit have started 4 weeks ago. I don't know how many more weeks we have of these going on, but they're a good mix right now with my other upper glute isolation workout, and I also have a hamstring isolation workout on Sunday that you've already seen on my channel. I'm gonna go ahead and jump on this Stairmaster apparatus of choice just because I have the energy for it. Otherwise you would see me on the incline treadmill. I alternate right now, but I'm doing 30 minutes in the morning fasted and a 30-minute in the evening. I normally take a scoop of Evo Burn caffeine free, but right now I think I'm good with sweat wise. We've increased the lipocyte IR in the morning as a fat burner to a half a scoop. So you guys have seen me doing a quarter of a scoop. So now we're just up it up a notch up until I see Kim in 2 weeks. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll see you in the next one. Please drop down below what was your favorite part, what you want to know next. I love you guys so much. Thank you for being on the journey of Miss Bikini Olympia 2025. Sign off.